Welcome back for another episode of Black Man's Thoughts, man. Today's episode is going to be titled Coming Out of the Dark Place. Coming Out of the Dark Place. So, what is the dark place? I believe that the dark place is any individual or entity that you've gone through or are going through where later you realize that there's parts of you that is different and is no longer what it used to be. Whether they've isolated themselves, they've gained a lot of weight, they hit a deep, dark depression, they at that point where they realize they've been trying to kill themselves, they're doing reckless behaviors, and some people don't even realize they're in the middle of a dark place. So we always talk about that, you see commercials of suicide hotline, you see people take medicines for depression and blah, blah, blah. But what does that look like when you start to come out, right? All right, so there is various walks of life for everybody. And sometimes you get so caught up in the world, so caught up in what's going on around you that sometimes it can cause you to lose focus on yourself, as we talk about here numerous occasions. So now you hit this point where it's like something or whatever it was, you saying, boom, what the hell? How did I get like this? How did I gain so much weight? Dang, like, what the hell's been going on, man? Like, I look horrible. I haven't cut my hair, been wearing sweats for a month. I lost everything. I've gambled away everything. I'm in a rut. It's a dark place. Sometimes, man, people can go through some dark places, man, that they'll do anything in life never to go back there. That's how dark it was. And sometimes the darkness can last for decades. It can last for a very, very long time. If a person is even unaware that they're in the dark. So then when you're coming out of it, it's almost like you went to sleep and you woke up and you finally have the mentality or the knowledge of what's going on. And you're like, what the hell? I didn't really let myself go. That's what it's going to look like, right? So now you're at a crossroads. You're at a crossroads. You can listen to the sad songs. You can continue to isolate. You can continue to do everything that you were doing because now that is part of your life. And now you don't know how to to dissect or to separate what is this behavior that you've been living versus what you used to do. Because you've been doing this for quite some time now. This is now your new life. That's what they don't tell you. So now this is your new life. What part is wrong and what part is like, this ain't me? This is that darkness person, right? I think that men hit that a lot more times than advertised, and especially black men. Women and children are going to get assistance. They're going to get help. As a grown-ass black man, you already know that you're not. You're not. You're not. Put on my damn hat, man. I should just sit here. But you're not. Let me see. Alright. I'm sitting there, feel me? But so, okay, coming out of it, right? You're coming out of it and you finally realize it. Now it's like, what do I do now? How do you find yourself again? I think that one of the first things you must do is you must do something that a lot of black men don't get a chance to do. Sit back and think. You do. You have to go back. I'm not saying go back to dwell, but you have to go back to that source of the pain. You have to go back to that source that caused you to go into that. You have to think back as far as possible. If you one day is 100 or 170 pounds, and all of a sudden before you know it, you're 345 pounds, and you don't know what happened, chances are, man, at some point in time, that there was something in your life that you went through that maybe your mind, because of self-defense mechanisms, has completely shut off all access to that trauma. That happens. Sometimes abuse victims, sometimes, like as you get older, you ever realize that when you get older, there's certain things that you don't remember no more? And if it was real bad, like you may not even remember. A lot of people don't remember when certain things happen. Why? Because your mind has shut that off, because for a defense mechanism. You block that out of your life. And sometimes out of nowhere, you'll hit something apart, or somebody will say something and they call it a trigger. And all of a sudden you hit a flashback and you say, whoa, dang, and you feel all of that emotion. I know I had gained a lot of weight. For me, it was a lot of weight. And I was completely unhappy with my weight. Nobody knew, nobody could tell, but I could tell. I was completely unhappy. And the other day I was sitting back and I was thinking about my college days and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I was really in a very, 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 very dark place, and I didn't even know it. And I know it now because I'm no longer in that place. And I know it now because the behaviors that I displayed back then, I wish I could tell myself, you need some help. You need some help. And at that time, I didn't know what type of help it was. I needed some help. I was too busy internalizing and too busy not getting over things that happened to me. And not necessarily blaming others, but what was happening is I wasn't getting answers. I wasn't able to come up with a reasoning in my own mind. I wasn't or didn't have an outlet to say, not only it's going to be okay, but, because somebody say it's going to be okay all the time. And they're like, oh, that's just words. But how do you make this feeling go away? How do you make this pain go away? And you know what helped me get out of the dark place? It was finally being able to admit to myself that I was a victim. You know what I mean? They say don't have a victim mentality, but we're going to get to that. I was finally able to admit to myself that, self, you are going through something. Self, you are not okay. Self, something is happening. And once I was able to do that, I was then able to start going back. And I would start being able to go back and close a lot of doors that I kept open. I didn't know I was keeping them open. I didn't. I did not know that I was keeping certain doors open, and I wasn't allowing myself to heal. In order to come out of the dark place, you have to close a lot of doors. You have to close a lot of doors and then shut off those lights in those doors. Because when you shut off those lights in those doors, what happens is when you enter into the room that you are standing with, since there is less power going to those rooms, now your room that you're standing in is going to be brighter. Why? Because all the power that you was given those other rooms is now you're getting that. All of it is focused on you. It's focused on you. It's not focused on those other rooms. And you're able to be more present. You're able to forgive. You're able to move on. I couldn't move on. I couldn't move on because I wasn't allowing myself to move on. I was allowing myself to keep going back and keep going back. And I wanted this. I wanted these answers. I wanted these answers until I finally realized, I said, yo, that pain, that history, it's always going to be. You're not going to get all of the answers. Everything isn't going to make sense. That's life. It's life. And you get to the point where you're so hung up on what happened to you and why it didn't happen and why it wasn't like this and how could it be and who did what to who and all that foolishness, and you start to realize, like, damn, I just been going on autopilot because I've been living in here, and I'm seeing things, I'm associating, I'm doing things day-to-day basis, but I'm not really there. I'm still in those other rooms. That makes sense? I'm still focusing on them doors that are open back then. The darkness is a place, man, that you don't wish your worst enemy to go to. Some of you might, but if you've been there, you understand. You understand, man. You understand how debilitating it is. So coming out of it is going to look weird. It's going to look weird because you finally woke up. You're finally able to stand in a room and see the light of this room. Instead of like, dang, all those memories, all those lights that's going on in those past rooms, you wasn't even to see and realize that you were standing in the sun the whole time. You wasn't able to feel the warmth of the sun. You got people right now that are telling you they love you. They here for you. They want the best for you. And when you going through that darkness, you too busy like, I hear you, but I don't feel it. Because you ain't there. Your flesh is here. But that spirit man, that man inside you, the real you, is gone. The people that you are associate with are literally talking to, loving, making love to, telling their darkest secrets to, a replica of you, because you're not even all the way there. And when you finally be able to be there, it is a lot different than hearing the words, I love you, when you're not there. Because now you feel it. Now you feel it. It may not feel, I wouldn't say feel good. It may feel funny because you may not used to that in the presence feeling, but you're finally present. And over time, you're going to get used to that because you're no longer focused in the back. So I say all that to say is, what does coming out of the darkness look like? It looks like you just woke up. It seems like you just woke up and everything seems really bright. Why? Because you're present. You're finally here. You're standing on the ground. How do you come out of the darkness? You come out of the darkness by not only loving yourself, but also, it may seem hard, but admitting to yourself, I had a hard life. I was a victim. I wasn't okay. It wasn't okay. They did wrong to me. I was taught to shut up, man up, handle your business, and you never was able to grieve. Sometimes, I'll tell you this, man, sometimes in order to just get over something, you have to go into that place, man, and you got to let out that emotion, bro. You have to let that shit out. You have to let that shit out. I'm telling you, you have to let that shit out. You cannot, people are like, I ain't crying 20 years. I ain't crying. Look at them. Look at them. They're a lot more aggressive, too. They're a lot more on edge, too. They're a lot more cold-hearted, too. And they would never admit this, but they living in the past. A lot of us is living in the past. We're literally walking around here in the present, but we're not here because we ain't let it out. Because we're still in that darkness. Man, listen, man, some people know, a lot of people know because America is a very obese society. But when you come from looking one way and your looks change and you done found out you done gained over 100 something pounds, and everybody, you can feel and see they look at you different, they approach you different, they talk to you different. No matter how much they say they love you, you hear the little jokes. You hear it. You see the way they look at you. You see the way your spouse or your cousins or your friends, you see the way they look at other people and then look at you. You feel it. They'll never tell you, but you know. You know that there's a change. You feel that change. And that shit sucks. It sucks. Why? Because you don't even know that you're going through something. You just feel like, I'm just putting on this weight, I'm being unhealthy, I need to go to the gym. And yeah, all of that is true. That's another thing too. All of that is true. Going to the gym will help you come out of that. Why? Because now you're focusing on you. And over time, you're going to start to love the benefits because you put that work in yourself. Because you started to improve yourself. They tell you to man up. They talk you to, you know what I'm saying, man up and whatever. That's that a man up, you know what a man up is? Realizing that you need help. Man up is realizing I have to change for me. Coming out of the darkness, man, looks like you woke up. Coming out of the darkness means that you have to still put work in. Yeah, admit that you've been through something. You have to come to that decision. Remember, they always say, admitting it is the first step. And we're taught to say, yeah, it was done, but I'm cool. Hell no, you're not cool. Hell no, you're not cool. You may seem like I'm functioning, but that shit is eating you up. It is, and it's coming out in different ways, man. You're blaming everybody else for your thinking, your anger, and your aggression, and why shit ain't working out. But it's not always them. It's that you're overly not sensitive, but you're overly emotional. You're overly aggressive. You're overly on edge, and that slightest thing is ticking you off because you put so much energy into keeping that frustration and anger in, is that you expect the world to feel how hard you're trying and not taking accountability or understanding that they don't know you're hurting that much. So then your responses to what they do, it's so much more intense because you are hurting. Coming out of the darkness, man, is something that a lot of brothers say it was dark, it was bad, and they always got that same tone where it's like a war vet, like I've been to war. It's like a slight pause, and you can tell whatever they went through, they ain't trying to do it again. They ain't something they want to talk about. You keep talking about it long enough about people coming out of the dark, you're going to hit a goddamn nerve. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be, I don't even want to talk about it. They're going to switch that subject. Even though they'll tell you they okay. Why is that? Because coming out of the dark, being in that dark place is, we're not going to talk about what it is, but what it does to you. In order for you to stay out of that darkness, always remember you have to self-improve. You have to get back to who you were. Not in the sense of going back in life, but who you were, what made you happy, what made you smile, what made you appreciate life. That's what coming out of the darkness is. Getting back to appreciating the goodness of life and appreciating you receiving that goodness of life. I spent years and years being told I love you and ain't feel shit. It was just words. I hated the feeling of it. I hated when people say they love me because I hated that feeling. I didn't know what the hell that was. What is this weirdness? Like, that shit's embarrassing to me. I tell my wife all the time, I said, it is so embarrassing that I had to teach myself little things. And I'm still learning, like, how to receive love. Do you know what the hell that's like, man? You being old ass dude and you don't know what it feels like to be loved, to feel that love. You hear it and you know that the person saying it is genuine and it has nothing to do with them, but it's just so much that you've built up such a wall, you built such a resistance, you built such a coldness and such a heartbreaking situations that you don't even know what it feels like to receive a hug. It's like, get a hug, pat him back. But then when you look at how they receive the hug, and you sit there and you hold them, and they kind of like leave their body, close their eyes. It's like when you get in a barber chair, giving you that shave, giving you that ball, and they start, or giving you especially getting the facial, and you start to relax your body, drift off, and you see them hugging you, and they do that, and you realize, damn. In that moment, you catch yourself because you're like, damn, I'm so on edge that I can't do what they're doing. They so at peace with you that how are they able to just, for that moment, sink in complete stillness and peace and presentness and comfortability, and the only thing you're thinking of is, when will this shit end? Not because you don't want to be, because you don't know what it feels like to be in a loving environment for you, beneficial to you. That's what darkness is. That's what it is. And when you're able to accept that, it takes a while. It takes practice. I'm learning it's taking practice. It takes practice telling myself, you had a good day today. It takes practice saying, man, they called you really to check up on you. They really love you. Shit's not easy for people like us. It's not easy because every day is a struggle, because you're so close to just being that old, unavailable you, where it's like you're waiting for the hammer to drop where they can say, nah, we ain't really hired. We hired you on accident. I ain't love you. I've been cheating on you the whole time. You just waiting for hear some news, and it's like you have to get comfortable saying or feeling like, man, I deserve this happiness. I'm happy and I deserve it. I earned it. I earned it. This is my happiness. This is mine. This is me. This is what I like to do. Stop going to places because of other people, because you see girls and because there's girls going to be there. Or go to places that you want to for you. That's helping. That's coming out of that darkness. You start to find yourself. Not what you think is you, because you've been doing it for the last 15 years, not knowing you was in the darkness, but that as you was a kid, when you used to, you know what I mean, like to go to amusement parks and you had genuine like excitement. When's the last time you as a grown man was excited for something? I mean, completely like, I cannot wait for me to do this. When's the last time you was able to say that with complete honesty and say, man, I'm overly excited, man. This is something I've been wanting to do. If you can't say that within the last year or so, stop what you're doing, cancel all plans, and make that happen for you this weekend, today. Don't wait no longer. Coming out of the darkness, man, you're going to need to spend a lot of time and invest a lot of energy making yourself happy. What makes you happy? What makes you smile? What makes you able to receive that love from you? When you coming out of the darkness, those are now your focus. That's your focus now. Forget everybody else. Even if you're married, even if you have kids, even if you have a wife, even if you taking care of somebody else. Take time to say, you know what, step back and say, you know what? Let me love me. Let me start there. And once I learn to love me and accept the feelings of love to myself, I then now can start to work on accepting the love of others. Peace, y'all. Black Man Stotts, your man Yeshayahu. You know what it is. Like, subscribe, hit that comment button. Share this shit. You know what I mean? Give me some feedback, man. What context and topics y'all want to talk about? You know what I mean? Hit me up. One.